Hi everybody, welcome to Dr. Harry's Healthy Corner. Today is Wednesday at 7:30, so you know it's Dr. Harry's Healthy Corner. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about loving the skin you're in. That is so important because it's the only skin I get. It's the only skin that we do get. When you look in the mirror, what story do you want your skin to tell about you? Your skin tells the story of you. It can tell the story of your health. It can tell the story of your joy and your happiness. It can tell the story of your confidence. And yes, it can even tell the story of your pain. Ultimately, what you want your skin to say when you look in the mirror is, you want it to say, I have faced life's challenges head on. And in the end, I choose strength, I choose confidence, I choose me. So today, we want to talk about loving the skin you're in. So join us as we dive right into that. Hi, welcome back. Dr. Harry's Healthy Corner, loving the skin you're in. So, oftentimes we think that perhaps younger skin is better skin. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Your skin is not the same as it was when you were 20, but it is just as beautiful. After all, your 20-year-old skin cannot possibly tell the story of the skin you're in today. Your 20-year-old skin won't be able to speak of the resilience, of the joy and the laughter, and even the hurt that you've experienced. So why would you not appreciate the skin you're in today? So having said all that, you want your skin primarily to accurately reflect the story of you. You want it to reflect the story of your health. You want it to reflect your story. And the best way for the skin to do that is to have healthier skin. So let's talk about what it takes to make healthy skin. What is the skin? What damages the skin? And some of the things that we can do to have healthier skin. Because believe it or not, in medicine, we can tell a lot about you by your skin. For example, we can determine if there's liver problems. We can determine if perhaps you're suffering from anemia. That can show up in your skin. We can tell that if you're having issues with significant exposure to sun, to cigarettes. These are all things that show up on your skin. Believe it or not, we can also tell the health of your heart primarily by looking at the skin. We can also determine the health of your lungs by looking at your skin. So as you can see, your skin speaks volumes about you. And as you can also see, it's not about the color of your skin. It's about being comfortable in the skin that you're in and having your skin being healthy enough to tell the story of you. So when we are talking about the skin, we know the skin actually is the largest organ in the body or on the body. And the skin is not just a protective barrier that we know it to be, but it also can transmit medications. The skin is a major source of immunity. It has significant immune cells buried within the skin. It's also a great source of keeping us cool, a source of detoxification. It's also a source of helping us to make vitamin D and other special nutrients as well. So you can see how very, very important this skin is to us and to our health. So what are some of the things that can potentially be damaging your skin? So of course, the sun. We've heard a lot about sunlight being damaging to the skin, and that is very true, because what sun does, what the UV rays in sun does, is that it actually speeds up the breakdown of collagen in the skin, and collagen in the skin helps to give the skin that firm, bouncy look to the skin. It helps the skin to stay upright. It's almost like scaffolding for the skin, and the sun can damage that. The sun can also accelerate skin damage by increasing free radicals within the skin, and as we know, the sun can also increase our rate of developing skin cancer secondary to damaging the DNA of the skin. So as you can see, the sun can be a problem for the skin. So can smoking. Actually, the combination of smoking and the sun are two of the most damaging things that you can do to your skin. So when people are looking at your skin, when you're looking at your skin, it's not really reflecting the story of you. It's not reflecting the joy. It's not reflecting your laughter. It's reflecting damaged skin. And so your story gets hidden behind that. So very similarly to the sun, cigarettes and smoking can speed up the breakdown of collagen and speed up the damage to the skin. And so what we tend to see with cigarettes is that we tend to have more a laxity in the skin, but also much more fine lines to the skin. Air pollution, also another biggie. Believe it or not, air pollution can accelerate aging of the skin, and so we can have premature aging of the skin. Poor circulation. Remember we talked about the heart can impact the skin. The skin requires blood flow to flourish, right? It's getting all the good nutrients that you eat to the skin to nourish the skin. And if we are not having good nutrients that helps us to make collagen, like vitamin C and great antioxidants and zinc, for example, and a good protein source that contains sulfur protein, which is really good for the skin, then that may show up in the skin as the skin looking dull and sallow, and so it may not be reflecting the radiance that you're feeling on the inside because of that new job promotion you got, or you just mastered an amazing skill, or you've watched your children graduate. It will not reflect that, and so it's really not doing justice to you. And the other thing is, of course, we talked about diet. We talked about circulation and diet, of course, and hydration. Hydration can make the skin look very dry. As we get older, our skin tends to get dry. It tends to lose moisture. It tends to lose those good things in there that helps it look plump and hydrated. So it tends to lose hyaluronic acid, and it tends to lose other nutrients that helps the skin to look really hydrated. And so what's happening there when that happens is that the skin can again look dull. It can also look dehydrated, and dehydrated skin looks less plump, and it can also make you look very tired, and maybe that's not the story that you want to be telling on that particular day. Other things that may impact the skin is stress. Stress produces that stress hormone called cortisol, and high levels of cortisol actually can cause the skin to become thinner. As we get older, for each year of life, our skin becomes thinner by 1%. So in 10 years, we have a 10%, our skin is 10% more thin, and that simply means now it bruises more easily, it's more translucent, so you start seeing more of perhaps the veins underneath, and also it's less resilient. And so that's something that we should know about the skin. We talked about diet, we talked about dehydration, of course, and stress, and certain medications can cause the skin to not look as healthy as it needs to be. But it's very important to understand that stress also can negatively impact the skin, and it's also important to understand that there are some studies that have been done that shows that that stress hormone cortisol can actually contribute to acne. So you might find yourself developing adult acne. Stress can also cause other hormonal imbalances that may again trigger the accelerated aging of the skin. So when you look at your skin and you want it to say the things about you that you love. You want it to say, I've laughed a lot in my life. And so even if you have laugh lines and you fall in love with those laugh lines, that's fantastic. I love that. You want your skin to reflect the glow of health. So you want your skin to look healthy, to reflect your joy, to reflect your energy. And so it's important to take care of your skin. So what are some of the things that we can do to help take care of our skin? Well, I always like to say, of course, if you've experienced a lot of sun exposure in your life, it's important to go to your dermatologist and have them give you a once over and see if there are any spots that may be suspicious, that may be early signs of skin cancer. That's very important, because skin cancer caught early is usually not a problem. You yourself can learn to look at your skin well, right? Notice the if you've got moles or freckles or so on, take note of those things and notice if they're changing, so you can also be proactive in looking for those changes on your skin. And of course, another important thing is sunscreen. There's so many sunscreens now that are non-toxic and non-chemicals, nourishes the skin. So you want foods that are good for the heart and the brain, turn out to be really good for the skin as well. So we're looking at healthy fats, because the skin is made up of healthy fats. We are also looking at really good sources of protein, because the skin loves protein. Vitamin C, foods that are high in vitamin C and antioxidants to protect the skin. Exercise. Exercise has been shown to decrease inflammation in the skin and speed up healing. And so exercise also has been shown to really help you to get blood flow to the skin, so you have that healthy glow that all of us want, almost like your own internal filter, if you know what I mean. And so exercise can help us to do that. Some topical things, and some people have asked me a lot about topical things that can perhaps help to protect the skin, perhaps restore some of the elasticity, perhaps delay the loss of elasticity. So let's talk a little bit about that. Okay, my absolute favorite is vitamin C. Vitamin C, topically, and that particular type of vitamin C ester topically, has been shown to enhance the collagen production in the skin, and certainly to reduce the loss of collagen in the skin. It also can help with hyperpigmentation or dark spots, and it helps to give that skin a healthy glow. Just know that there are different forms of vitamin C. Just also know that all forms of vitamin C are not equal. And so, for example, even the forms that have been shown to be active, depending on the other ingredients that they may have in them, your skin may respond differently. And for example, my face might like a particular brand of vitamin C, and yours might like a different brand. Another thing that's really been shown to help is niacinamide, and that is a form of vitamin B, right? So a form of niacin, vitamin B3 in particular, and that has been shown to protect against sun damage. How amazing is that? And it's also been shown to help with the elasticity of the skin. So another one is vitamin E. The skin itself has high quantities of vitamin E, and so vitamin E can also, again, not in every form of vitamin E. There's a combination that can help with protecting your skin from free radical damage that can speed up DNA damage and contribute towards skin cancer, but also can prematurely age the skin. The other thing that ceramides, right? So ceramides are basically in the skin naturally, and it helps to keep the moisture in the skin, right? So when you see lotions that say they've got ceramides in them, basically what they're doing is helping you to hold that moisture into the skin. And as we say, as we get older, our skin tends to get drier. So that is something that you might look into. And there's some things like the lotion CeraVe that has some ceramides. Also, has been shown. It just kind of puts that moisture in there. Many of us might be familiar with hyaluronic acid as an injectable into the skin. So perhaps when you go to your dermatologist, your plastic surgeon, your physician who does aesthetics, they may talk about hyaluronic acid to you and kind of filling the face, but topical hyaluronic acid, low molecular weight, has actually been clinically shown to help plump the skin up and give it the appearance of just having a plumper, more moisturized look, so that you perhaps might look more rested, for example. So those are some of the things that you can see with the skin. And so let me take this time to say hi to a few people. Hi, Laverne, it's so good to see you. I Miss Rogers, absolutely fantastic to see you. Hi, Nadine. I'm glad you were able to join us. Please, if you have any questions, this is a perfect time to ask about any questions that you may have, right? Because we might be talking about hyperpigmentation or dark spots. We may be talking about a variety of things, and this is a perfect time, because if you've always had questions about that, what better time than now to ask those questions, and I'll be happy to answer those questions for you and to talk about, because I do believe that we absolutely should enjoy the skin that we're in. Once our skin can tell a story, that's really what matters. There's such a rainbow of colors, and they're all so beautiful. When I look at all of you, you're all so beautiful. And I want that beauty and that joy, that internal filter, to literally shine through and burst off the page. So any filters that you use is just additional to that. So please ask me any question that you may have about the skin. And if you want to talk a little bit more about how the skin ages, a little bit more about what particular things that you may do to help enhance your internal story, because what happens inside is actually reflected on the skin, and ultimately your health can be reflected in your skin. Your joy can be reflected in your skin. Your lifestyle habits can be reflected in your skin. And that's what's important about skin. Okay, so what's important about skin is not that you've got laugh lines because you love to laugh. There's nothing. There's so many women out there. There's my mom. There's Jane. Always good to see you. And let's see who was. Oh, Henrietta. Ingrown hair on the chin, Henrietta. That is actually a problem again of turnover, right? So, and why is it when we get older, the hair just seems to migrate from our head and onto our face, right? And onto our chin. So that is definitely not in your mind, Henrietta. That does happen to many of us. And so what we want to do, one, is find out that you don't have a hormonal imbalance that's contributing to excessive growth. So that's something that you want to look into, that as a possibility. For example, people with polycystic ovarian syndrome can be more prone to hair on the face, depending on the hair on the facial distribution. As we get older with hormonal changes, that is something that can happen. So in terms of ingrowing hairs, what we want to talk about is turnover of the skin. So things such as that contains salicylic acid, which is a mild form of a chemical exfoliant or chemical peel, as they would like to call it, over the counter. Products with salicylic acid can help with that as well. And salicylic acid over the counter, if your skin is not sensitive to it, can be relatively mild and can help to decrease the ingrown hair. And also, there are also some laser hair techniques as well that can discourage the growth of that, so you don't suffer from that as much. The most important thing here is to make sure you do not have a hormonal imbalance that's contributing, that can be corrected, and so that you're not continually struggling with that. So it's a very, very good question. Thank you for that question. Now, what we also want to look at, okay, so Latino wants to know, about freckles. And so freckles can be something, can be genetic, and of course, but oftentimes it can also be a reflection of sun damage to the skin. And oftentimes, though, it is a genetic, it's a genetic issue. And oftentimes, people who have freckles really need to protect themselves from the sun, because they may be a little bit more sun sensitive. And if it's reflection of sun damage, then again, take steps to protect your skin from the sun. I know many of you have heard now about these neat little cameras that they may have that reflect sun damage, and so you're able to see UV light if there might be any damage being done to the skin. The jury's out on that, but it's a nice little fun thing to do. I think some dermatologist office starting to do it, and I believe some even like Walgreens and so on are starting to do that as well. Okay. Yes. Okay, so yeah, your mom had that, so that's probably a contributing factor. So things that can be a genetic thing as well as we get older. But normally, also as we get older, that is a possibility. That tends to happen, is that we tend to develop as women more growth on the chin, and sometimes some hair growth as well. Okay, so. I would like to know what type of vitamin to take. That's a very good question. Now, I think vitamins really can address deficiencies, so it's important to know that if you have a deficiency and replenish that vitamin. So some vitamins that can help, of course, along with eating well, of course, because you want to give yourself the protein and all the nutrients that you need. Sometimes as we get older, we can develop a zinc deficiency, and a zinc deficiency can contribute towards you not making collagen as well. And we may not have enough vitamin C in our diet, and that can contribute to that. We may not have enough essential fatty acids in our diet, so pay attention to that. And there's something that called phosphatidylcholine that sometimes I like to take if my skin seems to be losing that glow a little bit. So that's a really, really good question about the vitamins through the skin. Let's see if we have any more questions. Okay, don't see any more questions right now, but if you have any questions, feel free, of course, to send them over. This has been so fun, chatting with you guys about the skin. It's always is such a pleasure for me, and please feel free to share this video with your friends, and let them know about Dr. Harry's Healthy Corner Wednesday at 7:30. Let them know that this is an opportunity for them to ask any questions that they may have, and that we'll be happy to answer for them, and just have them just like my page so that they can also get the notification of when this happens. And if they are having any questions, as you guys know, I'm usually very, very happy to answer those questions for you. Okay, so she was asking about the keto diet. A keto diet in reference to the skin. I think diets need to be well balanced with the skin, and there are many diets that are out there, and they can be done well and they can be done not so well. So it's important to make sure that you've got good essential fatty acids in your diet. Of course, that's very important. And it's important to make sure that you have the minerals and the nutrients that you need for healthy skin. And so that would be my answer for that. Any diet that you are following, one, be sure that it's safe for you and it's doing the things that it needs to do for you. And also, two, be sure that it's well balanced, because some diets can be slightly imbalanced based on the types of foods that you're eating. So keeping an eye on your nutrition and your nutrient levels might be an important way to see if that is working for you. Okay, I hope that answers your question. If it did not, let me know, and I'll answer in a different way. So, does anyone else have any questions? Let's see. Okay. Okay, dark circles, right, dark circles, that's a big one. That's a really big one, Shira. It's a very big one. We know sometimes that dark circles can be genetic, and for that, we have no answers for that. But also, dark circles can be, represent things like underlying allergies that you're not even aware that you have. If I can share a little secret with you, to tell you the truth, when I eat popcorn, which is one of my favorite foods, I'll wake up the next day and really look like a raccoon just came in and painted my eyes, or someone has punched me in the eye. And so that's a food that I know contributes towards dark circles for me. So I try to avoid that, if I have a big occasion. Now, there's some things that can help to reflect the pigment so the circles don't look as dark. Also, as our skin becomes older and more thin, you can also see the blood vessels underneath the skin, and that can be contributing as well. So there's some things that it really depends on what's contributing to your dark circles. Of course, we know lack of sleep as well, but there's some eye products that do contain a reflection and a reflective substance, and also it can help to enhance the collagen. So make sure it's an eye product that it's really safe for the eyes before you apply it. My absolute favorites, that I'm sharing secrets today. One of my favorites is Neostrata has an eye a cream that really works well for me, and trust me, I'm not getting any kind of commission from them, but it's just something that works well for me. And so really just understand what might be contributing to your issues with dark circles. And sometimes, because some products will contain things like licorice and so on, that can help to brighten the area. But whatever product, make sure that it's safe for around the eyes. Very good question. I like that question. Yes, Latina, that was an very good question, because a very common problem for many of us. And so find out if you have any hidden allergies. If you're getting older and your skin is thinning, there's some products. Now, there are many products out there that claim to help dark circles, and as you and I know, because we've probably tried them, that is not necessarily the case. So it really, again, depends on what's contributing to your dark circles. So I hope that answered your question, Shira. That's a very good a question. In terms of, again, just giving the skin a healthier glow. Again, niacinamide is great. Vitamin C is great for that. Also, our skin turns over a little bit more slowly as we get older. It's not an issue. Just be aware of it so you can take some steps to counteract that if that's something that you're interested in. Again, this is not about having you look like you're 20. Like I said, your 20-year-old skin is not able to tell the story of the skin you're in now. So we're talking about loving the skin you're in now and embracing it and having it look as healthy as possible. So let's see if we have any more questions. Okay, good. I'm glad that answered the question. So, Latina, if you've had dark circles for years, remember back to see if you had it as a child, and if if your family tends to have that. But also, you honestly may have some hidden allergies that you're not aware of. And I'm not talking about, you may not necessarily make you sneeze, or it may not necessarily make you itch or break out in a hive or anything like that. But oftentimes, there's eating well can changing what you're eating, because it may be well, but it may not be well for you, if you understand what I'm saying. And so you want to be able to might want to be able to explore that, and that may be able to help. Okay, let's see. How important is sunblock? Oh, yes, that's a very good question. Believe it or not, sunblock is important for women of color. I know many of us, because we don't burn as easily, we assume that the sun is not damaging our skin, and it can very much damage the skin. So here's how I feel about the sun, because the sun definitely has some good qualities, and I've spoken about this before, and we know we do need some sun exposure. It does help us to make vitamin D. It also helps to enhance our immunity, our moods, etc. So a couple of ways to do that is getting about 15 to 20 minutes early in the morning before the sun gets bright and hot, about 2, so you're exposing, you're giving the skin the sun it needs. So it will look something like this. Remember that it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for the sunblock to work. And so if you apply it and then go out into the sun, and then 15 to 20 minutes it'll start working, so you would have gotten 15 to 20 minutes of sun exposure. So it's very important for women of color and people of color to also protect their skin from the sun. We may not show sun damage as quickly perhaps, and so we may not be aware that sun exposure could be contributing, and also it's sometimes be very difficult for us to notice any changes in our skin, and so we might be even more susceptible, and so perhaps by the time we are diagnosed, it's like really further along than we thought it was. So it's important to, of course, I always suggest like wearing hats for the face and protect the face. Vitamin D is important, so some sun exposure, not all sun exposure all the time is bad, but definitely protecting the skin is important. So that is such a super good question. I could not have asked a better question myself. That is an excellent question about sunblock for women of color is important as well. So we too can have healthy skin. Okay. Eczema. That's also a really good question, Shira, about eczema, because eczema, we're finding out a little bit more about it. So it depends on, there are several grades. You can have mild, moderate, or severe eczema. Severe eczema is really challenging to treat, but eczema and what I tend to like to focus on for eczema is making sure that the skin is getting the things that it needs to hydrate it and to decrease the inflammation that's going on with the eczema. So really healthy fats are super important in eczema, and I think a healthy zinc level is also important. And again, not too much, because remember, again, everything is about getting the right amount. So I would never suggest going over 20 or 30 milligrams of zinc. And omega-3s is so important. So if you were the person that really can't stand the fishy fish and the sardines and those kind of things, that's important for you to focus on taking something that can replenish your omega-3s, and that's important. And then topical things, okay? So like I mentioned before, ceramides are helpful to help lock in that moisture, and you don't want to strip your skin, and you don't want to use like something that's too drying, and so sometimes you might want to change to like a lotion type body wash to kind of decrease the dryness that can happen with the skin. I've seen significant improvements by not only changing the diets, but also making sure that the nutrients are there for eczema. Now, in severe eczema, that might be certainly more difficult to do. But mild to moderate eczema can be, and believe it or not, there's sometimes some foods that you're eating. I know it seems like I keep saying that because it's true. There are also some foods that you might be eating that could be exacerbating your eczema. It may not have caused it, but it may be exacerbating it. So pay attention to that as well. Avoid bathing in really hot water. That's really something that does not work for people with eczema, and while it may feel great, that's not something that works for people with eczema. It really dries their skin out a little bit more, and it really flares it up. And as you know, if you suffer from eczema, you know, a lot of times it's in the elbows here, and sometimes it can be on the neck, on the eyelids, and the places where skin is thinner and prone to be more dry. Hi, Sally. Good to see you. I'm glad you were able to join in. So if you have any more questions, these are such fantastic questions, and perhaps, you know, one of these times we can talk a little bit about eczema, because that's a really good topic, because there's so many people right now that have issues with that as well. So I love that question, Ashira. Those are some simple things we can do, but it really requires almost like some time of its own to talk about that. Hi, Sally. I'm glad you were able to join. So, if you have any more questions, just again keep shooting them. This discussion is really fantastic. I love answering these questions, as you know, and I love being able to see if I can give you the tools that can perhaps help you to develop a program, or at least help you to have a conversation with your physician about some of these things that we are talking about. I do believe in for these kind of conditions in nutrient evaluation, because sometimes we may not even be aware that there's some nutrients that are, if they're not missing from our diet, we may have difficulty absorbing them, and they could be contributing to some of the issues that we might be having. So again, foods that are good in sulfur and all of those things can help. So if there are no more questions, I will thank you again for joining me, because this has been really very interactive, and I was glad that you were able to join me again. Feel free to share with your friends. Let them know that they join me on Wednesday at 7:30, that we are very open to talking about topics that they may have a burning question about, and also they can feel free to send suggestions. They like the page on Facebook and give them notifications about what our topics are going to be, and they'll be able to send us specific requests about what they want to see. So that's great. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. And as they say, until next time, Wednesday at 7:30, Dr. Harry's Healthy Corner. Bye-bye.